Well, hello and welcome to that favorite hour of the day where you sit back, relax, and we bring the topics, bring guests to delve into the matter deeply. And today we are looking at road carnage, accidents on a road, the spate of accidents on a road. And I must agree that it doesn't add up. Something does not add up. If you consider the number of cars we have in this country, consider the size of the country, and you consider the level of road accidents and the fatalities involved, something is definitely wrong. I don't know if you've noticed and if you're also worried. You see, sometimes when you hear accidents and you hear 20 dead and 30 dead, it's not really like a plane crash. But, in other parts of the world, if a car crashes, one person, dies. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. But in our side, 20 dead, 16 dead. I mean, I remember last year somewhere, I think it was a Metro Mass, like 63 dead. A car, that's just too much. And recently I was saying that, we are developing this attitude where we really don't care who is next to die. And it's a very wrong attitude, and it seems to be transcending into everywhere. It's gone into the tourist industry, and now the road industry is just pathetic. I was just looking on the internet, and as at 17th of March, can you believe it, on my birthday, which is 74 days into the year, there had been, the National Road Safety had recorded 2,445 road accidents. Road deaths, 426 dead already, and injuries, 2,523. It can't continue. My name is Nanan Sakwao the Fourth, Akwamu Edumasahini, and also your favorite host. When I come back, I'll introduce my guest and we'll find out if there is a solution to this. Well, thank you very much for staying, and carnage on the road. Now with me in the studio is a man who is passionate, has dedicated most of his working life to make sure that our roads are safe. But he's just one man. We're talking to Godfred Achiadakwa, who's a road safety analyst, driving teacher?
Yeah, driver management science.
Driving management science. Yeah. And he's the CEO of RSTC. I'm sure you've seen his signs and his cars. What's RSTC?
Road Safety and Transportation Consultancies Limited.
Okay. Road Safety and Transportation Consultancies Limited. Yeah. And we definitely need consultation here. Well, you're welcome.
Thank you.
This statistics, what does it tell you? 74 days, 2,445 road accidents, 426 dead already, 2,523 injured.
Very serious, alarming, unacceptable. But one key thing is that this type of accidents are avoidable, are preventable. If you wouldn't mind, let me even give you some statistics I have here to support what you are saying.
Okay.
Let's look at from 2012 to 2016, what happened. I'm just using only the deaths, the absolute figures, deaths and injuries. In 2012, 2,249 people died in the year. And 2013, it reduced to 2,096. 2014, it also reduced further to 1,806. And then in 2015, it reduced drastically by 17.5% to 1,634 deaths.
Well, there were no cars in Ghana then?
Yeah, that was a magic thing that I think we're going to discuss. And I think that's where we should look up for as a solution. In 2016, it rose up again to 2,198. And with the way things are going, per the statistics we are giving to us for the first quarter of the year, if we don't take time, 2017 will give us a very frightening statistics that none of us can bear. So there's the need that we do something now to arrest the situation.
Let's start from the genesis.
Yeah.
Most, a huge percentage of road accidents is blamed on the driver.
Yeah.
I was talking to you earlier. You were saying as much as 95%.
Sure.
So does it mean that people who are driving are not qualified?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Let me start from this way. As far back as 1910, when after the world wars and then driving became, cars were being produced in their massive numbers, then the United States and New Jersey contracted, they come up with something we call National Safety Council to come up with how they can solve the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So in doing so, they gave NASA the opportunity to develop a model because they saw that there were no regulations. There were no regulations regulating the conduct of people who use the vehicles on the road. So NASA came up with something we call defensive driving. And defensive driving has been there till this date.
So when did defensive driving come?
As far back as 1910.
Whoa.
As far back as 1910. So
I thought it was a new thing.
No. It was there long. So from the defensive driving model, they came with the laws, the Road Traffic Act, the Road Traffic Regulation, and our part here, where it started in 1952 and that sort of thing. Now, people saw that the defensive driving model, which was purely on hinges under the law and the regulation, were effective. Because when people were coming to drive, they are being guided by the tenets of the defensive driving, and it was okay. But now, let's say, so in our part of the world, how many people have gone through a defensive driving program? There are so many people. You see, mostly those people who go through defensive driving program are people who are working in the industries. I mean, the company drivers, people who are doing the self-driving, and mostly even women. They adhere to the defensive driving model, go through the training, get their licenses, and drive. But our commercial drivers, and they carry the numbers, and they were not able to go through the defensive driving, most of them, and they learn the drivers through other means. So it means that there weren't any form of driver education that they adhere themselves to. So they drive by learning from their masters. Those people who were also learning from the car washing base, you go and then you wash, and then the car owner will give you the key, you have to drive the car back and that sort of thing. So when they see that they can maneuver those things, they say they are drivers. And you know, until quite recently, regime of getting license too is so easy. You just get a license, you are a car washing bay graduate, they will start driving. So all those kinds, some of the times, father teaching their words, mother teaching their words. But even, let's say the father teaching the word, what training did he go through to get the rudiments correct, even to pass it on to the children? So that was also lacking. So what happened was that people who mostly entered into the commercial arena were people who had not had formal driver education. So they were using their own experiences and what they were taught by their quack masters to do those things. As a result, these people are so many on the roads, and they are driving all the commercial vehicles. And these commercial vehicles are high occupancy vehicles. So the people who sit in these vehicles are so many, and being driven by such a person. And car owners, when they want a driver to drive them, they will not go into the nitty-gritties of the drivers to find out that whether this driver was properly trained or not. No, I have my car. Do you have a license? Come and drive.
License A.
You see, and drivers do not write application letter. You just go and look at your face. If you can drive my car, you're okay, I'll give you a chance to drive. Okay, so they drive. But even if they drive, then they should have given them opportunity to go through refresher courses, if there's any. Or those who have not gone through refresher courses, they should start going through some form of training so that they can grasp the road safety requirements and then understand the law and regulations. And that one can even guide them and their own lives. But we don't care. The drivers don't care. And car owners too don't care. Because at least when they are going for this driving school, some of them will be paying some peanuts. So they wouldn't like to pay. Again, they would not even, if the drivers want to go for the training, the car owners would allow them to park their cars for 5 days, 1 week to go and learn the driving. So no, all that I need is what? My money, my sales. So all these things are fighting against the drivers who would have even gone through the school or the driving schools or training, or form of training, so that they can get what it's supposed to take for them to drive on the road. So they lack it. And therefore, they will use their no knowledge in terms of road safety and then risk management. And then now there's something we call road risk management practices. It's a new course that people have introduced into the road safety. They don't even know it. So they drive and they use their old quack experiences and drive. Hence this accident.
Let me say, Akwaba to my senior brother, Nana Ano Ame here, Executive Director, Safety Ghana. Yes. And every time a car falls in a pothole, a bicycle busts a tire, he sends me the message, Nana, have you seen? Nana, have you seen that? I say, yes, I've seen that. Nana, what are we going to do about it? And I thought it's right that, well, this evening, why don't we discuss the carnage on the road, because it's become so serious and it's now become ridiculous. Yes. And it's very, I think it's a very sad situation for road accidents to get so bad that it's actually ridiculous, and we are in a bad state.
And let me take the opportunity to greet your cherished viewers.
Sure.
See, road safety is something that I keep saying, that at the last leg of my life, I've dedicated my life to road safety advocacy. And let me tell you something to your listeners that they should always remember, that safety is something that you have between your ears, but it's not something that you hold in your hand. Because safety is intangible, you don't see it. So everything you do in our human activities in the developing world, we derogate or relegate safety to the back burner. So that's why we're getting all these needless deaths on our roads, in the built environment, everywhere. But you see, I'm not only the director of, executive director of Safety Ghana, but I'm also the president of the Ghana Institute of Safety and Environmental Professionals. You've heard us, we made a release in the media about this contemporary and stuff like that. It's all because we don't care about safety in this country. And if you don't care about safety, the safety will get you when you least expect it. And when it comes, then you'll be lamenting, 20 people killed here, 70 people there, and all that.
And let me cut in here. Look, and I keep saying this even though nobody seems to mind me. And I know you've lived abroad, but they say, a bus was traveling to France and it crashed. 2 people died. Yes. There was 25 car crash on the M25. 1 person died. Yeah. How come this side of the world, 23 dead, 16 dead? What's the difference? What's happening?
You see, the road traffic system in the UK is heavily regulated by laws.
But here we have one of the best laws.
Do's. But you see, there's one thing, regulating and putting men out there to enforce them. But if you don't arm the men to do the enforcement will not happen. And see, there are 2 things that is driving safety, and it is carnage on our road. I mean, education and enforcement. You need to educate the masses, as my brother here was saying earlier. What quality drivers do you have? There's something that we call in the safety road safety industry as hazard perception scale. This is a new thing, hazard perception scale. If the driver can foresee the hazard before it happens, he would avoid it. But if the driver doesn't have the skill to perceive that hazard that is on the road before him, he will go and meet it, and then that's what would result into a crash.
Now, let me stay with you, and I'll put the same question to you. Assuming I haven't heard of safety before, is human, don't you have the human instinct that, no, this could cause my death, and therefore I slow down. I look at motor riders without driving mirrors, and do duck and dive in traffic without looking back. I mean, even if you don't have any safety, is there nothing up there that tells you that, look, I may get run down by a car? I don't know.
You see, in a world where abject poverty drives drives everything, abject poverty. So the person himself who cannot even rub 2 pennies together to earn, to eke a living, or to even doesn't know how to find what he's going to eat in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, that person is as good as a madman walking the street, because he has no value to his life. See, the economic value of that human being, sorry, so you have to be frank about these things. It doesn't have any economic value, if I may say so. So what is it that we see people that now are these tricycles? I see Zoom Lion. They have now elevated the tricycle to a 3-wheeler, which is about 5 meters high. And I see it's laden with rubbish. And you find a human being like you, my brother here and myself, sitting on that loaded rubbish, heap of rubbish on that. I've taken pictures. Unfortunately, I didn't bring my iPad. I would have shown it to you. And then he's in the traffic mix on the N1. See, some of these causal factors that we see, we are exposed to them, but we don't do anything about them. And these are the main causal factors that are causing the carnage on the roads. But who is there to enforce it? Nobody. So these tricycles, as you said, on the motorways or the class of roads, these tricycles or mopeds and what have you are not allowed to be on a 100-kilometer road, because you cannot have a vehicle doing 100 kilometers, another one doing 20 kilometers in the same traffic mix. What will happen? There will be a conflict. And when there's a conflict, what happens? There's a crash. And when there's a crash, people die. But it's a simple thing that you just said is just basic common sense. Yet we don't seem to apply basic common sense in the things we do. But because we are poor, we want to look at things, we don't look at safety, because safety is deemed to be expensive.
Let me bring Godfred in. Godfred, are you so poor to be not scared of death anymore?
Let me add a little to what Nana has just said. For the 2 questions you asked earlier, he was asking about why is it that a lot of people die in a part of the world and fewer dies in that place? Yeah. One key thing is the type of vehicles that we use. Our vehicles. The vehicle engineering. The vehicles which are more than the 10 years, that's what we use around here. And then the vehicles has been depreciated. The chassis, the body, everything is so the little push, the little impact, it disintegrates.
Indeed. And sometimes when you see the images.
That's one key thing. And another thing is that, you see, Nana was saying something very, very important, the safety aspect, which is lost in our mix. You know, I've been teaching these drivers for over 15 years. And you know, the word safety, and I challenge it, the word safety is not in Akan vocabulary. Take it. And I'm still waiting. I've tried and tried and tried for somebody to give me the exact Akan word for safety. You don't have it. So it's a borrowed language. If you say safety, people say carefulness, and that sort of thing. So the word safety is not. It's foreign. That's what I see. And you know, if the thing is not in your attitude, you cannot behave it. First, you should have an attitude. And the attitude should have certain common sense, some commonalities, like safety.
Must mean something to you.
Yes. So you value safety. It's talking about value of life. So value of life is equated to how safe you are going to keep that life. But the safety is not in the equation in our language. So people are now finding it that, what is it? When you say they understand it the English way, but because it is not in their vocabulary, they don't understand it as part of their DNA. So what happens is that it's a borrowed language, so we have to practice it. So people have to tell us so many things, and it seems as if we don't have the common sense, just because we don't have it from the beginning. So trust me, if we are
even though we don't have it in our language, fear of death, I thought it was instinct.
Exactly. You know what? If you have value for human being, so in our training, we tell you the value of human being. from the scratch that it enters this world to the time it dies, and what he can make himself up to. That tells you the value, the capital value of the human being. Do you think everybody sits down and perceive and try to know the value of a human being? People don't. If people don't even have value for themselves, that is why we know for sure that if I drink and drive, forget about people who are sitting in my car, I can be involved with that and kill myself. But yet the person will go and drink and drive.
That's when he drives better.
So it means that he has no value for his own life. You know, every driver, even if he's an elementary driver, knows that if you drive above the posted speed limit, the car becomes lighter, and the slightest occurrence, you may lose control and kill people. They know, but because they don't have the value for human beings, they will speed and enjoy the air that flows into the car. So, you know, it's the value of the human beings, which they need to be taught. That's why I'm saying that the education we are talking about, he's talking about education enforcement. These are two. The laws are there. Our laws are copycat from UK and then mixed up with some of the US. And they are correct. When you look at the LI, the 2180,
yes.
It's excellent. It's excellent.
So
to the extent that
one of the good
Nana,
ones.
Nana is referred to the LI 2180. Let me make something that is very instructive. When on the fatalities you have in the buses, as you referred to earlier, that in the UK when there's a crash, too. You see, the problem is that in our LI 2180, we have it in there that we can import vans that are meant to carry light goods. And we come in Ghana, in our right frame of mind, we are more sensible than the Germans who go and do 30 years of research and development to produce a van that is meant to carry light goods, and then a bus that is meant to carry human beings. But we say, no, we are not going to, we are so poor, we are not going to import these buses that are meant for carrying passengers. Now, the difference between a van and a bus, you see, the materials that are used to furnish or the bus, in terms of the seating arrangement and all those things, are all designed. They've researched and designed them to suit human beings. But if you come and then you want to what do you call it, reverse the whole situation and bring a van and you want to convert it, you're not converting it and putting the right materials, like something like the metals that are used in the seats that are covered, okay, though they are covered. But these metals are collapsible. So when the vehicle is driving at 100 kilometers an hour, you, the same human being in the vehicle, you're also driving at the same speed. So when you crash, there's something you call secondary crash. And in that secondary crash, most of the answer to your question, that how come in the developed world we have lesser people dying in crashes, is just for this simple reason. Because those crashes that would not have really killed anybody. The moment you have this Benz 207 or Sprinter that has been converted from a van to a bus, with all these metals in there, I mean, some of them, even if you're not careful, you go in there, you have tetanus. Because they will scratch you and you go home, you pay money for a service, and then you go and get tetanus when you go home, because the metal is so is exposed and is so rusted that it will harm you. So that is the answer to your question. Why more people die on our roads in some of these innocuous, I would say, these crashes probably shouldn't even hurt a human being if we're riding in a bus. But because we come and want to reinvent the wheel, that was the thing. Yeah. So
23 people in a Sprinter.
Yes, and I questioned that at the National Road Safety Commission meeting. And they were saying, no, the technocrats, the engineers, I have a very good engineer, if I may mention, from DVL, Mr. Musa, Chewo Musa. He said he fought it, but the politicians said, no, we want to give jobs to our boys, or you want our foot soldiers. That is their business. So their business is to bring in vans to come and kill Ghanaians. So the politicians don't care. So they will be happy that, oh yes, we want to be in power. I'm so and so. I want to. So I would allow that to be enacted in our books, statute books, that in Ghana you can import a van and convert it to carry human beings and kill them on the roads. And you see, in safety, if you say it as bluntly, then it gets into the psyche of the for attitudinal change to happen. But if you don't change attitudes, Nana, we'll be coming here. And for me, the thing that worries me is that you are going about your lawful business, minding your business, doing the right thing, all your checklists, you've checked your ties, you've gone and done your MOT, roadworthy certificate, and all that. Then you are going on the road because you are the same road user, you don't use it. They have not created a special road for Nana Adumasa to drive on. You're going to drive with this, excuse my people, that I was going to use the word, but I just reminded myself that our national TV. And you go and they kill you and kill your family. And that is something that really gets my goat. And I'm going out there on the rooftops. If I have the least opportunity, I will say it and say it. I don't care who is Ox is God, whether it's politician A, politician B. A fact is a fact. But I will not go and say that these politicians 5 years ago were doing it and I was attacking them for it, and then come political party B and I'll keep quiet. I will never do that. My conscience will not allow me to do that. So we are here together to ensure that we drum it into the ears of the system. And if they want assistance, we'll come in there and proffer solutions to some of these things that are going on our roads.
Dr. Let me come to you, because when you were giving me the statistics of road death, you gave me 2013, 2014, but then miraculously, 2015 there was a 17.5% drop, and I was wondering if we all went on strike and decided not to drive, not to drive again, because by 2016 it was like we're back on the road. So what happened?
Yes, this is a very good thing that we should all learn from. Since 2000, I've been hammering that the problem we have on our roads stems upon the drivers, the type of caliber of drivers we have. And we cannot let them go like that. We can retrain them. And if we retrain them with a proper training model, these drivers will change their attitude, their behavior will change positively, and then they will enhance their competencies. I've been saying this on all Ghanaian TVs, all Ghanaian radios. People look at it as spent. 2014, 2015, the Corvette, through World Bank and then Danida, invited me, and I told them the same thing, that if they like, they should give us a huge number to train, and it will be a test case for Ghana. They trained 40,000 commercial drivers in this country. 40,000. Myself and Amagashi, Dr. Magashi. We trained 40,000, my company and his company. And by the end of RSTC, Road Safety and Transportation Consultants Limited, and then Amagashi TSC, Transport Services Consult, you join hands together, and they give us that contract. We trained 40,000 people across the 10 regions.
Wow.
And then by the close of December 2015, total road crashes reduced by 17.5%. It has never happened in the history of Ghana. Wow. Since the National Road Safety Commission was founded in 2000 to date, there had not been such a serious reduction in accident ever in the history of Ghana.
And that was just by training.
So I keep on saying, and it is a type of training too. We have our own model. That's what we call the driving management science. It's a model that is good for Africa. Defensive driving is foreign and is good for the learner drivers training. It's good for all the driving schools. But after the drivers have completed the driving schools, they shouldn't be left like that. They should have some top-up courses to refresh them. There was none. So I designed the driving management science. And to the extent that the driving management science, drivers will go through, learn so many things about safety, psychology, so many things about driving. Then they start driving, and then we give them certificate for that, and they keep on growing to the extent that even if they finish their driving management science courses, we have even gone ahead with Cape Coast to the Cape Coast University, such a way that drivers who will drive, go through a defensive drive management science without accident for a number of years, they should be allowed to do a diploma in road safety and transport management. The course that we did for Cape Coast University, and it's running to date. And as of now, we have the database. None of the drivers who have gone through our course have been involved in accident. It is there. The record is there, but nobody wants to listen to it. So for us, we said it, and we continue to say that it is when we use training that will solve the problem. You know, and then when the people have gone through the training, then we use something we call the enforcement. Then we look at the laws. One thing that I'm also not happy about it is the judiciary. Now, you know, during 2008, when the MPP was about to exit, and then there was a hula baloo about MPP not respecting the drivers at that phenomenon. What happened was that they reduced the penalty units drastically, some by 90%, before Kovu exited. So let's just like, if you kill somebody, they can be fined 10 penalty units. And if a penalty is 12 Ghana cedi, times up, you can go. So they reduced the penalties. So it was not rewarded, or it was not a punitive measure for if a driver becomes culpable to any road offense, he's gone scot-free. He doesn't pay much. You can drive dangerously, or you can drive careless and inconsiderate. That carries the serious penalty in the law. You pay about 150 Ghana cedi, then you're gone. So no, that is scaring anybody. So I'm thinking that the law should look at it again. The penalty should be brought to its normal position, as is done in all the advanced countries. Having to heard, last year, there was an accident in the UK. The car owner saw that there was a fault with the car. He called the mechanic, and the mechanic came and didn't work with the car because the parts were not ready by to be released by the car owner. The driver picked the car. You know what happened? All the three, the vehicle owner, the driver, the mechanic has been jailed 15 years, 7 years. So the law should also be such that it should serve as deterrent. So people would respect the law. The police should also do the right thing. But again, I also go back and say something about road construction. Although normally I don't talk much about that. There are constructed speed ramps from Cape Coast to Takoradi. If you are using the road right now, check it. The speed ramp is like that. It's very new. It is a nuisance. When you are driving, you hit it, bam. You hit it, bam. And when you hit the speed ramp like that, there are two things that will happen. It damages your vehicle suspension. Two, you can lose control of the vehicle and veer into the bush, killing people. And those speed ramps are also done in the cities or in the villages. So when you veer off, it's going to kill somebody or run into a kiosk.
Is Ghana the only country who do speed ramps on highway?
That's serious.
No, it's crazy.
It's crazy. It's serious. You can't get it anywhere.
It's only built up areas. Yes. That you know, school zones, whatever that you do. Yes.
But here on
the highways, I mean,
it's not common anywhere.
And the dangerous thing about these speed tables on the highways, they are not signed.
They're not signed.
So in the middle, and then our roads are not lit. So in the middle of the road, you see the speed limit on our trunk roads are 100 kilometers an hour. Imagine you are doing 100, and all of a sudden you are confronted with a speed table that is as high as 18 inches, and then you lose a life. You see.
And then, you know, even with the speed tables, you know, when you are climbing, when you go this way, you climb this way, the inclinature should be painted with white paint to reinforce, let the driver to see that increased visibility. And then the car coming from this place, that side should also be painted white. So it could be seen. We don't have none. Go on our roads, except the new roads which was done in towns. We don't have, even the markings are faded. The markings are faded. But you know, those days, at the shoulder end of the roads, the type of marking are corrugated. So that if the car, let's say someone is going to have a single accident by sleeping and driving, when it drives over that, it makes some noise, bang, 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 then go and see whether we have any. So the problems are so many. But the point is that even if the road is so bad, even the marking is so bad, and you, the driver, you are so trained, and you have value for life, and then you have good attitude and behavior, that is a well-trained driver, irrespective of the bad nature of the road, you go and come safely.
Wow. Nana, will this fall on deaf ears since we don't value life? What are we going to do?
No, you see, we've been talking and balking and whatever. It's not getting anywhere. But I want to proffer solutions, basically. If you look at the cost to the economy 1.6, 1.7% of our GDP. And now our GDP is lurking around 200 billion Ghana cedis. Now, Nana, you are probably more of a mathematician than I am. Just calculate 1.6% of 200 billion. You're looking around 3.4, 3.6 billion a year. And that's what we are losing in the economy to road crashes alone, not even factoring into human lives, which are priceless. Now, if any forward-thinking government, any visionary government says that, look, the road crashes and the road fatalities are not discriminating against anybody. It could be Professor this, Dr. this, urologist, highly trained people. And what resources do we use to train these people? It's our taxpayer. Before, it used to be the poor cocoa farmer that my ancestors were, you know, training and educating the human resource in Ghana. Now, we go out there and senselessly deplete them on the roads. So, if I take half of 3.6 billion, I'm looking at about 1.8 billion Ghana cedis in a year, right?
Yeah.
So, if I go out there, that the solutions, if you go and talk to MTTD tomorrow, Anna, they will tell you that if we get the resources, we would enforce the road laws, okay? The National Road Safety Commission, what do? They educate, they coordinate safety and all those other things. But if you give them the resources, they'll go out there and ensure that we have school zone safety, we are teaching the children our road safety, the drivers, and what have 1.5 billion Ghana cedis a year invested. And the good thing is that it will be self-funding. That money doesn't have to come from government coffers, because if you are enforcing the laws, those who the deviants who would say that they don't want to obey the laws, they will be fined. They will be hit in the pocket, and then the MTTD, who is going to be the law enforcement agency of the police, should be made autonomous, or if you like, partial autonomy, and then let them go out there with all the resources that you've borrowed money. You can borrow money to resource them, and let them use that. And then while they are going, within 2 years, they will make that 1.5 billion Ghana cedis back. And then what happens? The end result will be, or the benefits out of that will be that you have less carnage on the road. We don't think we've lost control of the roads? No, we totally, we have. Because the road alignment, I mean, these days, if you drive on any road in Accra, all the roads are in bad condition, potholes galore everywhere. And there are two things that cause a crash. Human error, which we have a lot of it in the drivers, and then unsafe road condition. So if you put the two together, you have a conflict, and then you have a road crash. So what I'm saying, we can talk and talk and talk till the cows come home to roost. But if you don't proffer solid solutions to curtail this menace, it's going to continue. And then also, the area that comes close to my heart, that the trend is ever increasing, is motorbike safety. Mm. You know, the statistics, as we have it now, motorbikers are being killed on the road. And then their numbers are increasing. Sure. If you go to Kolebu, I hear there's even a ward there called Okada ward. I've not gone there to check. I said if it had come to my mind, I would have checked when I went to Kolebu today. They call it Okada ward because the injuries, the road motorbike-related incidents, the injuries are not your malaria where you have kamikaze.
They are kamikaze riders. I'm telling you, those bikers and those who are the pylon drivers, the bravery. I mean, if the army is recruiting, they should take pylon riders.
Yes, yes.
The bravery. Because I'm in the car and I'm so nervous and I'm looking at him and he's so relaxed. And the guy is literally driving him to his death. But this is fine. You know, you don't see him like gripping the bike or holding on. I mean, he's just there. And the guy is just weaving in and out of traffic. The bravery.
Today I have a lady friend. I called her, and there was wind. And so when later on I got her, I said, oh, but I was trying to reach you. I said, oh, I was just trying to make a joke. I hope, I guess you were not riding on the back of Okada. He said, yes, I was. I said, you are so brave, and were you wearing a helmet? And she is in your fraternity. Is a media person. He said, oh, you have to zip through to somewhere, and the only way of getting there was on an Okada. You see, so they
are dying.
We are killing people.
Okada is killing them.
And it's now Okada is gaining currency in the system. Yes. And then you are there. Then these are as I said earlier. Do people value their lives?
Let me bring Godfred in here, because I know where Nana Nomi here stands on that. Leading up to the elections, there was a decree that police people should stop checking licenses and stuff like that. Now, I was on the school of thought that, listen, they check licenses but never check infringements, on the car, which will actually cause the accident. So I was for it. Nana was against it. Where do you stand on that?
I mean, something happened during that regime. In fact, in policing, I even overheard one top police officer speaking seriously against that directive, that the police people should be out of the road, because it was scary. Because we know for sure that when the police visibility increases, accident reduces. But this time he says, let them get off. And then we are going. But something happened. I had a call from Sujani. And then the person was calling me, because I've taught his Sujani already. They called me to say that, sir, have you noticed something? Look at the period during the election and after the election where the police were not on the street. Did you hear of a single road robbery? So, wow, what are you telling me? They said, we are in the helm of Sujani, and we know we've been recording the figures. During those time that they took off the police from on the road, we couldn't record a single road robbery.
That's strange.
I said, wow. So then I said, what do you think it is so? He gave a lot of analysis, which I can't say it here. A lot of analysis. But they were thinking that some policemen were in Kunavas by giving ammunitions to people to act so that they get their booties. But so he was saying, why is it that this time we are not on the road? So all the ammunitions were sent to the armory. Now, there wasn't a single road robbery. So that is something we should look at. It's something people should. I'm pleading with the police. They should investigate that. If what the guy is saying is true. Then we need to relook at our police.
That's a fantastic observation.
Yes. I said, wow. And it was giving me detailed where the usually happened and why is that no more happening. Just last week, I heard that it has started. There was one road robbery where armed robbers were on the road.
Are they creeping back?
Easy. So that is another. But look, I would not accept the fact that you should reduce the police or take off the police from the road.
No, I think it wasn't taking police off the road. What they're saying is that they shouldn't stop cars to check insurance and everything because it wasn't police duty.
Yes. But that is just taking them from the road. Because that was what they were doing on the road.
Okay.
So if you say you shouldn't do what you have been doing, then it's wrong. But I think what you should do is that the police should not concentrate mostly even on the insurance tickets or those things. Because even with the insurance, when you look at insurance critically, even if the vehicle is not insured and is driving the road, we have compensatory fund at the NIC. That when you are involved with accident, with injuries and death, the NIC will pay for that. They pay for non-insured vehicles. I mean, the death and injuries of people. With a vehicle, then becomes your own problem. So the concentration should not be totally on the insurance, but should be on the roadworthiness. You will see some vehicles going and look at the tires. You can never write
it's just past the police post.
Yes. And then also the Okada people. At times we see the policemen standing by the roadside and these Okada people just veering through. And I think the strategy, the tactic to use to arrest them is difficult for the police. But we want to say that the LI 2180 specifically bans the use of motorcycle for commercial business, and that one must be enforced. So if police require further training to go ahead to learn the operational tactics to arrest them, they should go ahead. Because when we tell you the statistics of people who are being dying, who are being killed, and who are being injured by these Okada practices, my brother, is nothing to write about. And nobody should accept it. And we have told them. And I think this year, I believe Minister of Transport will rise up And then also the police will also are listening. And I believe with our new current IGP, who is more actionable, we are pleading with him that if they need to bring some people from elsewhere to train them. Look, Nigeria, there were about 3 states that introduced Okada. They called it off. They allowed the Okada to flourish. But they saw that the degree of death that they are recording was so alarming, so they stopped it. Even Lagos, they stopped it. So please, under no circumstance should you accept Okada as a commercial business. Else, people are saying that it creates job. For this type of job, creating one job and killing 5 others is not acceptable.
I think I'm alone with this police people staying off the road.
Yes, we discussed that.
Yes, we did.
We were on the other side.
Yes, yes.
I was for and I was against. But you see, Prof mentioned the new IGP. I paid a courtesy call on him, and we had discussions on various things, and this issue came up. But I discussed it confidentially with him. He assigned various reasons why the policy, the directive was issued, and for good reason. They are looking at it, and they will come at the right time. I mean, the reasons are signed because it was confidential. I cannot say it on air. But moving beyond that, you see, the National Road Safety Commission, though they are not fully resourced to do what they're supposed to do, or the MTTD are not fully resourced, but the little effort that they are even doing is what is keeping the numbers low. Talking about numbers of crashes and fatalities.
So this is as low as it gets.
But nothing at all, it will be disastrous. Good reason is that, you see, since the MTTD have been off the road, people that do not even have licenses, apprentices who hitherto will not even have the the courage to go and drive their master's vehicle. Now the master gets what I say, oh, apprentice, take over. And I said this story that I had a young caddy that had been caddying for me at golf. Then for some time, about 6 months, I wasn't seeing him coming to caddy at golf. He's barely 20 years old. And my heart nearly flew to my mouth. When on the road to Takoradi, I saw him in the traffic, carrying over 20 or 30 people, as many that the 207 buses. Here's Paul in that. I said, Paul, what are you doing?
Driving.
He said, I'm driving. I said, my goodness. A caddy that I've never even seen, I would not even trust him to move my car at the car park.
Your golf cart.
Carrying over 20 Ghanaians. Could be your mother, my sister, my aunt, and then taking them from Accra to whatever, Winneba or Cape Coast. So what are we doing to ourselves? You see, so all the things are there. We see them. The causal factors are bound. But what are we doing about them?
Governor, you said something earlier, off air, which I found very interesting, that, every year in Ghana, the road safety people will set the targets. So this year, maybe just target 1,000 people. And Denmark and Cola says, this year, it should be 0. So while some people are targeting 0 death, we are pegging about 1,000.
It's fascinating.
That's pathetic.
US and Canada, US and Australia, their road safety objective.
And Sweden and Holland as well.
Okay.
Sweden is
yes.
0.
Okay, said towards 0 deaths.
Yes.
Towards they are working towards 0 deaths. We on our part, for the past 15 years, we setting targets: 1,500 deaths, 1,400 deaths.
I told you, it's serious when it becomes laughable.
I was lamenting to a friend in Abuja. I said, oh, last year, can you imagine we killed 2,198 Ghanaians? And then he just waited and said, what? Is that news? In one state, you are killing over 3,000. Now you are lamenting over
about the whole country, the whole country 2,000.
But that's one state now.
So in fact, setting a target without beating the target is another question that we need to look at. And I'm thinking that probably the target that is set, the focus should be looked at. I'm seeing that the focus that is on campaigns, okay, talking about sport fines, talking about red camera enforcement on the traffics, for me, I see them as secondary solutions. I see them as secondary. How many deaths do you record on traffic lights in a year? Let's come with the statistics. How many deaths do you record on traffic lights? So do you spend monies on traffic lights, posting cameras? It is only what is going to happen is that you'll be arresting people and finding them and get money for the judiciary. But it is not actual solution for the problem. So I would say that those things that are technology, the monies that are going to be fused into technology should be looked at in training the drivers. Now we have about 1 million drivers in the commercial arena.
So just a policy, mandatory training.
Yes, mandatory training. And it is in the law that for a driver to go and renew his license, the commercial drivers, they must produce certificate of competence from a training institution before the license is renewed. So the laws are there.
It's the law.
The laws are there. The headlines, the acts are there, but enforcement. So this one, I would appeal to national, how do you call it, the DVLA. They should look at that and then enforce it. If the driver is coming or coming to renew his license and he's not able to show anything that he has gone through a driving school that the DVLA themselves has what? Mandated. They should not renew their license unless he goes and come back. Again, when somebody is culpable at the court and he's found his fault, he has driven wrong and has caused a road problem, he should before he's given back his license, he should also produce what? A certificate that he has gone through some courses in driving. Look, let's say this one. Look at pilots. Look at how their job is. They are highly educated people. But look at the amount of times they train. At least every 3 months to every 6 months, they go for training. And they don't care. Okay? Look at the drivers. No training and keep on killing. So when you talk about training, people see training to a distance. But the person doesn't know anything. You know why training should even be first before enforcement. If you train the person, you create awareness. When the person is aware, what he does is that he will stop doing what he should not do. And then, if he has gone through training, and then he finds himself offensive on the road, you arrest the person and punish the person. It sounds better. Now, these people don't have much in their heads about the safety we're talking about. Now, we are using enforcement. So we arrest them, then we put them behind bars or you find them. Then what even the wrong that he has done, he doesn't know. But if you train the person, he knows that I should not speed. Ghana, the speed says that 50 kilometers per hour in the towns and villages, 80 kilometers per hour on the highway, 100 kilometers per hour on the motorway, so be it. So if you are caught driving about 120 on the motorway and you are arrested, you have been trained. And you know, people don't also understand that why is it that my car has a speedometer reading of, I would say, 200 kilometers per hour, but the law is saying that I should go 100. Why don't I zoom and go? That's also another one thing. So when they come to the classroom, you tell them about there's a biological limit, the engineering limit, the environment limit, and then so all this limit, and then the legal limit. Try to not allow you to drive those speeds that you are driving. They understand and they will stop doing that.
You know, this conversation can go on and on and on and on and on. And what I'll do is I'll try and get this gentleman back in so we keep going on and on and on, because I mean, if people die to the point where it becomes a joke, I think it's an indictment on all of us, or in any society where there's been so much death, you think it's now becoming a joke. It's not a joke at all. It's very, very serious. And whoever is in charge, first quarter, 426 dead on the road. I mean, not even on a war field would you have such death. Not even in Iraq, where the war was at its peak. In the first 3 months, you don't lose this many soldiers. And so you're basically telling people that your chances of surviving in the war front in Iraq is actually higher than just sitting in the bus and going to work or going to your hometown. That is terrible. But I always give you this number before I leave. It's 024-366-2001. 024-366-2001. That's Tanti's Fashion. They make my shirts. Give them a call. They're running a big discount. To you at home tomorrow, we'll be back to do this all over again. And to my gentlemen in studio, Nano I'm here, and Godfrey Achiadakwa, thank you so much.
Let me indulge your listeners for the last time about what I said in my opening remarks. Safety is something you hold, something you have between your ears.
Yes, you can hold.
It's not something you hold in your hand.
Bear that in mind. Bear that in mind.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
You are Professor?
No, I'm not professor.
Oh, okay. Godfrey was one of the professors at Legon.